gonna switch over to your camera. It says we're live. Oh, you can hear me. You're good to go.
All right. Audio coming through okay? We're good to go. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of our Sippin' Ground Coffee live streams. My name's Dan Painter, and I'll be taking us through today's audio coming through broadcast.
We're good to go.
But before we get started,
Hey, everyone.
welcome back to
Make sure you
another
hit that
edition
like
of our
button so we
Sippin'
know you're
Ground
out there and
Coffee
subscribe,
to our
live
YouTube
streams.
channel. If you hit
My
that
name's
little
Dan
bell,
Painter, and I'll be,
you're going to get a
taking us through
notification
today's,
every
audio
time we
coming
do
through
one of these
broadcast.
live
Good
streams.
to go.
But before we
Make
get
sure you do
started,
all those things,
welcome
and
back
then
to
make sure you hit
another
that
edition
like
of
button
Sippin' Ground.
We'd appreciate it if we
Subscribe,
could get you to
like,
follow
follow
us on
Facebook. If you hit
My
that
name's
little
Dan
bell,
Painter, and I'll be,
you're going to get a
some
notification
social
every
media
time
sites
we do one.
and
And
live
then,
streams.
lastly,
Before we
make
get
sure you do
started,
all those things. If you
uh,
haven't been to our
make sure
website,
you
please
like
go
our
there
Sippin'
and
Ground
subscribe to
Coffee.
our
We
newsletter.
appreciate it.
Follow us on periodically. If you hit that little bell, you're going to get a newsletter that we put out, and it's going to basically give you some information on what we're doing here at our website. You know, if there's any product enhancements, product newsletter shoot. It's a way of getting kind of a little heads up of what's going on there. And then lastly, as we've been doing these Sippin' Ground Coffee broadcasts, what we're doing here, we've been giving out code words for each of the presentations, and there'll be one for this one as well. Kind of a little head. So when we do get to that code word or words, jot that down somewhere, and then combine that with another couple code words from other presentations that are out there or that are coming up, and email those in. Email 3 code words in to Flint and Walling, marketing at flintandwalling.com. So again, that's marketing at flintandwalling.com. If you email 3 of those code words in, you're going to receive we've been giving out these very, very nice T-shirts on our tours for folks that have been coming up for the factory tours. You'll get one of those along with some other Flint and Walling swag. So that all said, again, keep in mind that we'll have a code word here coming up, and I'll give you the heads up when we get there. So today's topic is basically entitled Flint and Walling Product Overview, all right? And not a bad thing to go through because there's a lot of folks out there that you know, they got some idea of what we do here at Flint and Walling.
Now, Dan, I hate to tell you all this, but we had about 3 mics going right there, so they were all on top of each other. So we can cut that out, but if you could tell everybody that little spiel at the beginning at one more time.
Want me to go
Just
through this?
real quickly, if you go through that again, yeah, because you kind of had, it was my fault.
Okay.
Technical difficulties.
Okay, well, we'll go through it second. All right, cut two. All right,
two, here
yeah, all
we
right, cut
go.
two. I guess, okay, single mic this time. Again, before we get started, hit that like on our YouTube and channel and that subscribe button. So if you hit the bell, which we encourage you to do, hit that bell and you'll get notified every time we do one of these live streams. Time out. Let's do this again. I started about halfway through that. Anyway, we're going to, let's get to the point. Sippin' Ground Coffee today is a series of live streams, and I already mentioned that you can find us on Facebook and LinkedIn, and then hit the bell on the YouTube channel so you get notifications when we do these live streams. And then go to our website. Make sure you sign up for that Flint and Walling newsletter that comes out periodically. That's going to give you a lot of information as to what we're doing here, whether it's product enhancements or new product introductions, whatever that may be. That's a way of getting a good heads up. And then lastly, there's going to be a code word, all right, or words, and I'm going to give that to you during the course of this presentation. Combine that code word with 2 others so that you have a total of 3. Email those in, jot them down on paper, and email those in to marketing at flintandwalling.com. And all these presentations, and there's several of them out there right now on the YouTube channel, and there's going to be several more coming, but each of them have a code word. So if you can collect 3 of them, email them in, and you're going to receive a very nice, very, very nice tour and training T-shirt that we hand out to folks that come up here for factory tours and a day of training. You'll get one of those and some other F&W swag. So just a little housekeeping up front. Hopefully we'll have no more hiccups, and we're going to go into this presentation. Today we're going to title this presentation Flint & Walling Product Overview. And I'm going to go through the various products that are manufactured up here at Flint & Walling. When I do this for folks that come up and actually tour the factory, inevitably, there's someone's going to come up and say, you know, I didn't realize you guys made this or that you made that. And so today we're going to go through the products that we do manufacture up here at Flint & Walling. And we're just going to start off with 4-inch subs, all right? That's a very, very popular product line, 4-inch subs. It's very broad. There's a lot of categories within a 4-inch submersible pump. All right, so we're going to stick with 4-inch submersibles here for a bit. And here's what we're going to start off with. We're going to start off with what we call our Commander Series 4-inch sub. That's an all stainless steel submersible pump. All right, stainless steel discharge, stainless steel pump shell, stainless steel motor mount and suction screen, motor, cable, everything. Everything's stainless steel on that submersible pump. And it also features a stainless steel check valve. That's proven to be extremely reliable in the field. Now that submersible pump is going to be available from 1/2 to 5 horsepower, and the flow rates that are available, as you can see on the screen, will run from 5, 7, 10 gallon a minute on up to the 19 and 27. These pumps, these 4-inch pumps that I'm going to be talking to you about in these first couple of 3 slides, are primarily used for residential applications. 5, 7, and 10s are almost always used for residential applications. Occasionally, in the southern part of the country, Florida, Texas, y'all down there are going to use 1-horse 19s, horse and a half 19s and 27s, because a lot of your applications down there are going to tie irrigation in along with the house. And so, again, you've got flow rates there to handle each of these applications. Next, we're going to move to 4-inch subs, but this is what we're going to call our Captain Series, all right? The Captain Series, unlike the previous, has a cast iron discharge at the top. It's still going to have a stainless steel pump shell and a stainless steel suction screen, but the motor mount that mounts the pump into the motor is also going to be cast iron with a stainless steel motor. All right, so this is a very, very robust cast iron that we use on this pump, whether it's the discharge or the motor mount. Very much like the stainless steel pump, its availability is, again, 1/2 through 5 horsepower, and you have all those flow rate ranges there that you can get this cast iron pump. Now, let me tell you where this cast iron pump's primarily sold. It's sold in markets where a contractor wants to compete against someone that might be selling a thermoplastic type of pump, and they'll sell this as a premium pump to a thermoplastic type pump, and they can still be in the ballpark with the pricing structures. And so that's where this pump oftentimes is used, is in those areas to compete against plastic. And speaking of plastic, this is the third category of our 4-inch submersibles. It's what we call our Patriot Series. And yes, it has thermoplastic injection molded components. The discharge is thermoplastic. The motor mount, which also acts as a suction screen, so it's got dual function, it's going to be thermoplastic. The cable guard running down along the side of that pump shell is plastic as well. But keep in mind, these plastic components, one, they don't corrode or rust, they don't move, and so there's really no wear to them. And we've had a great amount of success with these Patriot Series pumps. Now, unlike the stainless steel and the cast iron, those both went to 5 horsepower. We do not do that with our thermoplastic pumps. We're going to go to 1 horsepower, and we're going to stop there, all right? So, again, this pump is going to be used just, for residential applications, 1/2 up to 1 horse. So you're going to have 1/2, 3/4, and 1 horsepower. You still got the same flow rate range, but we're going to stop at 1 horsepower, and the reason for that is you start hanging a motor on the bottom of that plastic motor mount that's, bigger than a horsepower, you're starting to get a lot of weight that's going to be on the bottom of that motor mount. And when that happens, that can become a big risk if that pump ever got dropped more than likely that motor mount's going to snap. So we stop at 1 horsepower. But there's your 3 different categories for residential applications for submersible pumps. So there's a lot of choices there, a lot of horsepowers and a lot of flow rates and material of construction. So, pretty much can fit the bill. We're going to move on to another category within, again, 4-inch submersibles, but this time we're going to refer to these as our high cap series, all right? Unlike the first 3 submersible pumps that I've shown you, those all have 1.25 inch discharges, all right? 1.25 inch. Now our high cap series, they're all going to have a 2-inch discharge, all right? 2-inch. They're available. They start off at a 1 horse and they'll go all up to 7.5 horsepower. And you're going to have the flow rate ranges of 35, 55, or 85 gallons per minute. Again, these are what we refer to as our high cap submersibles. These pumps are sold oftentimes for larger irrigation systems, sporting fields, things like that. They're also used in livestock, all right, so farming applications. So that pump, again, is going to be 35, 55, and 85 gallon a minute, 2-inch discharge, and available horse through 7.5 horse. As we're going through these, one of the things I'll mention too is a little tab I put down at the bottom of each of these slides. That tab says 100% factory tested, and that should have value because there's not going to be a pump we manufacture here that we do not do a full-fledged into the line 100% test to make sure these are going to start up for you and to make sure they're going to pump up to our published curves. So that's the stainless steel high cap pump. It's also available in cast iron. I mentioned cast iron earlier. Again, when you look at these cast iron components, I don't think any of us are going to live long enough to see one rust through. I mean, eventually they will. I mean, I've seen pumps come out of the wells just today, in today's age, and they were installed back in the 60s. So again, that cast iron lasts a long time. That's another option for the high cap series pumps, just like the stainless steel, 1 to 7.5 horse, 35, 55, and 85 gallon a minute. So that's what we've got going on with the high cap series. This next series of 4-inch subs is what we call our effluent pumps, all right? There you have a choice between 1.25 inch or 2-inch discharge. These pumps here are going to be sold in the like septic systems, all right, tanks of that nature. They're going to be available from 1/2 to 1 horsepower. And again, you see the flow rate ranges over there. Now, one of the things that makes this pump a little different than the other 4 inches that pumps that we were talking about, when we talk about effluent pumps, that one's going to leave here with a 10-foot motor lead on it, all right, 10 foot. Whereas your typical residential submersibles are going, 3, 4 feet motor lead. This is going to have a 10-foot motor lead on it because if it's going to go into like a septic tank, a contractor does not want to have an underwater splice. And so therefore, with that longer motor lead, we're able to get outside of that tank and do all the splicing on the outside. But these are very, very popular. And by geographic areas, I know they're very popular up in the Pacific Northwest. These things are sold all over the country. Okay, I'm trying to get back to my slide here now. I'm not getting a click. So Derek, if you'll put me back on my slides.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. All right, this is the last of the 4-inch subs, all right? I'm going to call these, I call them our superstars. You see that little tag up? I do. I really feel that way. And here's why. First, they're what's referred to as deep set pumps, all right? Available 2 to 7.5 horsepower, 5 to 27 gallon a minute, stainless steel. And these deep set pumps, just by their name, their description, they're designed to go down into deep wells. If you live in a part of the country that has a lot of terrain changes and you live up on top of a hill or a mountain and you've got a well up there, that well can be 800, 900 feet or more. And if you set a pump down a well that far, if you're setting a pump down a well 800, 900 feet or more, just think of the amount of pressure that pump's going to have to produce to bring the water to the surface and then have enough pressure left over that we're able to use that water in our homes, in our irrigation, and whatever else may be going on. So these pumps, they're extremely reliable. I know this may sound a little salesy, but there are contractors that may sell another brand day in and day out until they get into a deep set application, and they're going to want this F&W. And I'm going to tell you why. They know it's going to stay in the hole. They know it's going to stay in the well. One of the other things I'm going to round up on these 4-inch submersibles, and it's one of the things that gives all of them longevity, and that is that Flint & Walling manufactures these 4-inch submersible pumps with a floating stack design. What that means is that when that pump is up and running and under a load, those impellers that are spinning inside of that submersible pump in are floating. All right, so when you float an impeller and you're not rubbing against any other components, you get no wear. And when you get no wear, you get longevity like you can't believe. And that's been the case here with our 4-inch submersibles, all of them, all the categories up to and including the high caps and the deep sets. So now we're going to move on to section number 2, and section number 2 is going to include our submersible pump motors. All right, we introduced these, I believe, back in 2014. I think we introduced our submersible pump motors. That's a little over, 20 years ago? No, 15 years ago? Whatever. Today we're manufacturing 2-wire motors. Those 2-wire motors are going to be available from 1/2 to 1.5 horses. And then on the 3-wire motors, those motors are available 1/2 to 2 horsepower. Keep in mind that all Flint & Walling motors, will have a 700-pound thrust bearing in the bottom of each of those motors, including those fractionals. And I believe that to be one of the most robust thrust bearings, or axial bearings, if you will, in the industry. And to date, I'm not aware of any Flint & Walling motor. There's thousands and thousands of them out there now that's ever had a bottom bearing ever go out on it. We're also into 3-phase motors today, and I believe that a 5-horsepower motor is in the queue as we speak. So these 2-wire motors, all right, the 2-wire motors that we manufacture here, they are going to feature a patented, what we call an electronic start circuit. And this is going to be embedded in the motor, but what this start circuit will do is it basically takes a motor from a start to a run winding, all right? And this electronic start circuit that we put in there also allows that 2-wire motor now to be used with variable frequency drives. So, section 3, we're going to go into control boxes, all right? These are going to be used on 3-wire pumps. And so you folks that are out there in the western part of the country, you sell a lot of 3-wire pumps out there, as well as, the Texas market. There's a lot of 3-wire pumps, and those 3-wire pumps will require a control box, because inside that control box is going to be a capacitor and relay that's going to start that motor. So our control boxes are we manufacture them 1/2 to 2 horsepower. And one of the things that I kind of tout when I talk about our control boxes, not only are they powder coated, so they don't rust, chip, fade, corrode, any of that. NEMA 3R enclosures, so indoor, outdoor applications. But one of the things here that I'd like to mention is the fact we use a voltage relay inside these control boxes. And I know that a lot of control boxes today went to the electronic. But I've talked to contractors, and I've had many of them tell me they have far less problems with a voltage relay than they do a solid state type of relay. So that said, take that with a grain of salt. I will say this about our control box. That box that you see on the screen that's kind of facing us, that shows those components, when one goes bad, typically that's what gets replaced. They'll leave the other portion of that box hanging on the wall because it's all wired up. And so that cover that you see will snap onto the front of that box. And I want to tell you this, that cover that we make, I know for a fact, it fits other people's boxes better than their covers do. So Flint & Walling does a very, very good job with these control boxes. And they also manufacture these up, and we include what's called the deluxe control boxes, all right? Now we're getting into the higher horsepowers, the 3 and the 5 horsepowers. You start to get into the higher horsepower pumps, motors, boxes, you will now start to see repairs that will be done on those the residential pumps, those are going to get field scrap, thrown away, and replaced. But when we start looking at these higher horsepower products, they will have service that will go with that. And one of the things I would point out on these deluxe control boxes Flint and Walling offers, no one else to my knowledge has done this, but only you that are going to be in the markets where these are going to be sold will have an appreciation for this. I believe you will. If you look at those cutaways on that right-hand side, I've got a little red arrow down there pointing out those voltage relays. You look at anybody else's boxes, those relays sit back behind that terminal block, and it's almost impossible to get to. You try to get back there with a screwdriver, and you're trying to go through that jungle of wire leads coming off that terminal block. And so, again, it was just a very frustrating, difficult component to try to get out and replace. So we decided to bring that thing all the way to the front. So we put it right front and center. And so that makes it just much more accessible, and has had a lot of preference for that. So that's our control boxes. Again, 1/2 through 5 horsepower, standard and deluxe. I don't think we're any feature short on any of those boxes. I think we've got a box to fit virtually every application. While we're on the controls, I'm going to move into this section 4 now. This is what we're going to refer to as variable frequency drives, all right? If you're unfamiliar with what a variable frequency drive does, or sometimes just referred to as VFD, you all understand keyword, all right? Here's your keyword for the day, cruise control, all right? Write that down somewhere, add it to a couple more, email it in to marketing@flintandwalling.com, and you'll get that Flint and Walling swag we talked about earlier. But we all know how cruise control works in a car. You set it for a certain speed, and whether you're going uphill, downhill, or right straight down a highway, you're going to maintain a consistent, constant speed. If you're going uphill, cruise control is going to ramp the motor up so that you can maintain that speed. If you're coming down the hill, it's going to back that motor RPMs off because it doesn't need that energy, and you're going to maintain that same speed. So the variable frequency drive operates very similar. What we're going to do with that is we're going to select a pressure that we want to maintain. And so just like cruise control, that variable frequency drive will ramp the motor RPMs up and down to meet your demand, whatever, if you're using a little bit of water and you're only going to use a little RPMs, it's only going to ramp it up a little bit. But it will ramp that motor up and down and keep you at whatever pressure set point you want to set that at, 50, 60, whatever that may be. And so it will maintain that consistent pressure irrespective of the demand for water. All right, that's what a drive will do. And that said, Flint and Walling offers a few variations of variable frequency drives. This one here is a Commander Pro. This is available 1/2 through 3 horsepower. This was one of the first drives that Flint and Walling introduced back at the time we introduced our submersible pump motors. And it's a full-featured variable frequency drive. What I mean by that, this drive has all kinds of onboard protection. It's got onboard diagnostics. It's going to display those diagnoses in a display screen in English that we understand. For instance, if you have a broken wire, it's going to tell you got a red leg. It's not only going to tell you got a broken wire, it's going to tell you which one, red leg open, black leg open. It meets Part 15 Class A FCC standards. So what that, you look at homes today, they're nested, they've got thermostats in their home to operate off their iPhones, garage openers. What that FCC classification means is when you put this drive in a home, that this drive will not interfere with other electronic devices, all right? So it's not going to cause static and stuff like that where other drives might because of some additional insulation we have inside that drive. You can password protect it, and again, it's NEMA 3R enclosure, indoor or outdoor applications. But again, that is our top-of-the-line, full-featured variable frequency drive. Next in line would be what we call our artesian drives. Now, this is not a drive that we manufacture. We source this drive out, but we did write the software for this drive. And one of the reasons that we opt to bring this drive in and keep it as part of our offering is you can see this drive goes all the way up to 15 horsepower. And oftentimes, the artesian drives are going to be used to operate centrifugal type pumps, large centrifugal type pumps. And lastly, the third category, and these are flying off the shelf these days, folks. Take a good look at these. These are Commanders 2 and Commander 3 variable frequency drives. The Commander 2 is going to run 2-wire motors, half to 1.5 horses, and the Commander 3 is going to run 3-wire, half to 2 horsepower. They've got indicator lights on the front of it so that you've got an idea of whether the drive is running, whether water's being used, or whether there has been a fault that has occurred. But one of the things that these drives that you're going to find is that they've got, one, they're very, very economical, all right? Inside is the dip switches. There's 3 banks. Very, very easy to program this drive. The 3 banks, right? The top bank, basically, we're telling the drive, what kind of a pump motor are you going to run? Is it a submersible? Is it a centrifugal? What horsepower? What phase? That top bank is everything about the motor. The second bank is how we're going to turn that motor on, all right? So you can use a transducer. You can use a pressure sensor switch. And then that third bank is kind of a catch-all down there. And oftentimes that third bank won't even have to be contended with upon an installation. Most of them can be installed and function just fine with those 2 top banks. Inside that lid will be a troubleshooting chart. So everything's right there. And again, that's going to be a NEMA 3R enclosure. A lot of contractors like the fact that the lid hinges open. But that's a third category of drive. Give that one a lot of attention because it can take a conventional 2-wire water system and upgrade it into a variable frequency, constant pressure type of system. So we can operate off of single phase, 3-phase, 2-wire, 3-wire, and we really don't care whose motor it is. So again, give that one a great look because I think there's a lot of applications for it. All right, section 5, we're going to move into jet pumps. All right, these pumps have been around for a long time, much longer than submersible pumps. But one thing that you'd want to know if you're in a market where jet pumps are sold is you want to know how far is it from that pump down to whatever the water source is that it's pulling, if it's a well or a cistern or whatever that may be. It's important to know how far down from that suction or that inlet is it to the water source, all right? So that's a vertical measurement. If it's less than 25 feet, the industry referred to that as a shallow well. If it's more than 25 feet, the industry referred to that as a deep well. And that was important to know, and it still is. If you're selling jet pumps, why? Because there are 2 types of jet pumps. There's a shallow well jet pump, and then there's the one on the right is a deep well jet pump. Again, these pumps were around a long time before submersible pumps and very, very popular. However, today, and this is an opinion, I would say that 95% of all jet pumps purchased and sold today are probably being purchased and sold as a replacement for an old jet pump. Most new wells today are going to have submersibles. We offer a good, better, and best when it comes to jet pumps, all right? So that one down at the bottom is very, very popular. That's what we call our EK series. That's available in a 1/2 through 1 horsepower. But that's a straight-up shallow well jet pump, and that's why it's very popular. You can't use that pump for any application other than a shallow well, which we described a minute ago as being less than 25 feet down from that suction. Those other 2 pumps, the CPH and the CPJ, those are convertible pumps. What we mean by that is those pumps can be used for either one, shallow well or deep well. They're convertible and very popular because of that reason. Now, I will tell you this, you get up to that CPJ series, there's not a jet pump out there that'll outperform that one. You get 15 feet of suction. You get 14 gallon a minute, 50 PSI out of that thing. So if you need competitive pricing, you're going to look at that EK series. If you want performance unlike anybody else's, then you're going to move up that ladder up to the CPH or the CPJ, and you're going to get a lot more water and pressure out of a jet pump. All right? This one here, I'm just going to mention this briefly, but there are areas of the country where there's large Amish populations. We have one up here in northeast Indiana, and this is a pump that's very popular in those applications where they have no electricity. They will put a pulley on the back of this drive and operate that pump with a generator. So again, I don't know if anybody else makes a pump like that, but we do. And again, that kind of takes and entails our jet pumps. Section 6 is centrifugal pumps. These pumps are almost always used for irrigation, all right, for irrigation. And that CJ101 series, I only put that up there because if you're looking at marketing Flint & Walling products, that's the one you're going to want to look at because that is the popular one. I know that there are it's popular, very popular and in high demand in various markets. That pump's available in a single stage or up to 3 stage. The one on the top right, that's a single stage centrifugal. The one down in the center, that gets into these larger centrifugals, all right, where we can also operate these off of that artesian drive. But when it comes to centrifugal pumps, most of them are going to be used for irrigation. And if they're not used for irrigation, oftentimes then they would be used just to transfer water from point A to point B. If you've got a well and you want to fill up a pond, you may use a centrifugal pump for that purpose, okay? But again, there's available in a broad range of horsepower and configurations. These also are part of the centrifugal pump category. These are referred to as self-priming lawn sprinkling pumps, right? And they're very easy to identify. If you look at the suction ports on these self-priming pumps, they're very high, all right? Way up there at the high, near where the discharge is at. And it's for that purpose that they will become self-priming after they've been primed initially for the first time, right? So you prime all pumps initially for the first time, but after that, probably not going to have a need to have to reprime a self-priming lawn sprinkling pump. The motors on the back of these, centrifugal motors, all right? We manufacture our own jet and centrifugal motors, and we manufacture those 1/2 through 3 horsepower in both single and 3 phase, all right? Again, when folks come here and tour our factory, they not only get to see the pumps manufactured, they get to see the motors manufactured. And the only thing I would say here about this is that Flint & Walling was the very first company to introduce an electric pump motor like you see on that screen. And not only were we the first to introduce a motor like that, today we are the only pump company that manufactures their own jet and centrifugal motors, and therefore we have absolute total control over the quality of that thing. All of our motors are going to be dual voltage. In just a few seconds, you can change that voltage of that motor to operate off of 115 volt or 230 volt, either one. But again, all those jets and centrifugals are going to have our own manufactured motor. All right, we're getting down close to the latter portion of this overview, but I wanted to cover these. These are floating fountain pond pump systems, all right? So what you've got is you've got a submersible pump that's sitting inside of a 6-inch slotted screen pipe that you can see there. It's attached to a float. And 1/2 through 1 horsepower, 115 or 230 volt. You know, oftentimes when I talk about this product, in front of a group of contractors, you know, some of them want to tune out. Now I ask them, why are you tuning out? And they said, well, we don't get any calls for those. Well, does that mean they're not sold? No, that doesn't mean. I've never had anybody come into Flint & Walling wanting a haircut, but I guarantee if I put a barber pole down at the corner of the street, sometime over the next month, somebody's going to come in that door wanting a haircut because they're sold every day. Same with these things. Yeah, you just need to let people know you're a source for this type of product. And I'm going to tell you something, give it a good look because the margins that you can make, the profit margins are very respectable compared to probably anything else that you're able to sell today. But give these a good look. These things, they are bought because people want them. They don't need them, they want them. And they want them because of the same reason somebody might want a fireplace, all right? These things have, they just have an aesthetic value to them. And when we put these fountains out, the end user is going to have a choice of 3 different fountain patterns, okay? Again, so these things are popular. Give them a look, and again, the margins are great. Section number 9 are what we're going to call booster pumps. All right, these are our PB series. These are our high-pressure booster pumps available in half to 3 horsepower, 5 to 85 gallon per minute. And that's basically, we're mounting a submersible pump end on a centrifugal pump motor, all right? So these are going to be high pressure booster pumps. These things are going to put up close to 200 PSI. So where are they used? Well, a lot of times they're going to be used in car washes, all right? You need a lot of pressure. Not necessarily a lot of water, but they want a lot of pressure in a car wash. And so these pumps oftentimes will find a home in a car wash. They're also going to be used in high pressure wash down operations, truck washes. So again, any application where high pressure is needed, and primarily for cleaning purposes, know that Flint & Walling manufactures a broad array of these high pressure booster pumps. And again, these pumps are going to be 100% tested every time before they go out. And now we're going to go to the last section, is section 10. And this last section is referring to turbine pumps. And when I refer to turbine pumps, I'd like to refer to these more as submersible turbine and line shaft turbine pumps, all right? And these pumps are going to be manufactured by a division of ours called Wolf Pumps down in West Texas. They're located in Abernathy, Texas, and they manufacture all of our submersible and line shaft turbines. You can see some of the submersible turbines over there on that left-hand side. These things will throw a lot of water, all right? So a lot of times they're going to be used for turf irrigation. And you look at some of those pivot irrigation systems up there, that top center picture, those things sometimes they'll throw 1,000 gallon a minute or more. 500 gallon a minute is pretty common. So again, that's a lot of flow rate. And we have those pumps available for you through our Wolf division. They build those pumps, they test those pumps, and they ship those pumps, and they do that in an unbelievably short period of time. So with that, that kind of rounds out, I guess, a product overview for the day. We went through a variety of 4-inch submersibles. Then we got into the control boxes, our variable frequency drives, through the jet pumps, the centrifugal pumps. Again, a lot of people don't realize all the different products that we do make here. We get into the fountains, the boosters, and these line shaft turbines. So hopefully you got something out of this. If you did, hit our like button. And again, don't forget to hit that little bell so that next time we do another live stream, you'll get the notification that we're doing so. As Derek, is this a time that, are we able to open this up for any Q&A at all? Or is this...
that would be a time. I don't have any questions for you right now.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, again, code word for the day was cruise control. And jot that down somewhere and email that in to Flint & Walling, and we're going to give you some credit for that. Stay tuned. Again, look at that YouTube channel. There's a lot of sessions that are out there now, and a lot more sessions, excuse me, to come. So until next time, take care. Thank you.